Hello and welcome to Cyber Life. My name is Ken Underhill, your host. In today's episode, we're going to talk about cybersecurity and mental health. Our special guest today is Jothi Dugar. Jothi is a leading cybersecurity executive and an international best-selling author. We'd also like to thank our main sponsors for this episode, ByteCheck. The team over at ByteCheck handles cloud security and cloud compliance. Reach out to them at bytecheck.com. Jothi, I wanted to ask you, what is this whole mind-body connection thing in cybersecurity?
So, from a wellness perspective, I believe in mind, body, energy, and it's all connected. And it's all working together. So, if something is affecting your body, it's also affecting your mind and your energetic system. And the same thing with the mind and your energy. So, in cyber, when I try to really tie those concepts to cybersecurity. I know it seems like it's so disparate, but it's really not because similar to cybersecurity, where if you think of IoT, Internet of Things, everything is connected, and that's actually true from a universal spiritual standpoint as well. Everything's connected. Everyone is connected. There's really no disparate systems per se. So in cyber, what I feel is the mind body energy connection is oftentimes people think of cyber as just kind of a technical thing, or it's a bunch of tools or cryptography or programming. And I think back in the day, maybe that was most of it. There really wasn't much more added to it, but now it is really a mind body energy thing. So from a mindset perspective, especially if you're a CISO or cyber leader, or any sort of management position in cyber, you really are in a very unique position to make a difference in the organization. And you really have to look at the mindset of and culture of the organization and see where does, what is the mindset on cyber? Is it thought of as a block to the mission? Is it thought of as an enabler to the mission? And once you start changing that mindset where people aren't thinking of cyber as like, oh, this is just one more thing I have to do, or, oh, that's the no sayer group. When you change the mind in your body and you change your mindset, your whole life changes. And it's the same thing with cyber. When you change the mindset of the organization or leadership, or of all of your stakeholder groups, and the whole culture of cyber and the whole culture of operational security changes. Now, from a body perspective, I kind of look at that as the what enables cyber in an organization. So the mindset is kind of the what gets you started and what puts you on the right track, right? Similar to a wellness perspective, but from a body perspective, it's the tools. So at some point in time, you're going to need some tools to help you do your job, and you can even look at tools from a holistic point of view, which from what I've seen, most people don't do. They look at it from a Western medical perspective where, hey, I have this symptom here, and then what kind of pill can I throw on that symptom to make it go away? So I don't really have to worry about the root cause. And that's kind of what we do in cyber too. Oh, there's all these vulnerabilities. Let's just throw some sort of vulnerability tool at it, or let's just throw some sort of tool at the symptom. But we really have to go deeper. We have to find out what is causing these symptoms, and then try to. And it might be multiple different things. It might not just be one thing. It could be a people issue, it could be a resource issue, it could be a knowledge or training or awareness issue. It could be maybe there is no policy or standard in place. So once we kind of are able to resolve the root cause of these symptoms, then we might still need a tool, but at least we're choosing the right tool for it. And we also have to look at the tools in terms of most organizations have multiple different tools, and we're only using like 5% of each tool. really not effectively or efficiently, or even fiscally responsible. So we have to kind of look at, are we using this tool in the best way it's meant to be used? Are we using all parts of this tool? And if we have 5 different tools that do very similar things, then do we really need all 5, or can we kind of drop a few and use all of one of them, if that makes sense? And then from an energy standpoint, um, you know, what I think of energy in cyber is basically, it's all these things combined. It's the people, it's the process, it's the technology, it's the mindset, it's the culture, and we really need all of these different aspects kind of working, hand in hand together, to really make a difference in cyber.
Jothi, can you share a little bit of information around your journey with the mental health and cybersecurity and kind of how you've evolved your mindset a little bit?
Yeah, the way, what they say sometimes in the wellness world is that, a lot of the times, 90% of the time, something traumatic happens to someone, whether it's an emotional trigger, like you get that call from the doctor, that you really don't want to get, or you come to a realization that, oh my gosh, like I need to change something. Most often it's the former. Because most people are happy kind of living in comfort zone, and they're not constantly trying to grow. Although there are some that are doing that, which is great. So I had the same thing happen to me. So I had not an emotional trigger, but more of a physical health, trigger, where, during the birth of my third baby, the OB had basically botched my entire C-section. So that left me about 6 weeks to live, unless I got like a slew of different surgeries. None of them really guaranteed any sort of positive result. But it's just the surgeons couldn't really figure out what had happened, or the extent to the damage that she had caused. So that was kind of a turning point for me. Like, I just no longer wanted to put my life in the hands of the Western medical healthcare system. So I chose to change my mindset, and I set the intention for myself to find another way. And I didn't really know what that way was, but I wanted to find a more natural alternative medicine type of, healing technique, or modalities out there to try to heal myself. And I did. So over the course of the next 3 years, I actually did heal myself completely. And I also started learning a lot of these modalities and, techniques, for myself, because I am like, oh my gosh, like I see so many women out there suffering, that I could help with. But so it was really interesting for me, because I was a CISO, I was a cyber leader, but then I also started becoming kind of a wellness practitioner and coach, and wellness leader. So I'm like, do I have to choose one or the other, or is there any way I can blend both together? And I really didn't want to give up either one. I love doing both. And So I found a way where, I actually found that, like you said, I started noticing that there is a trend happening in the technology world, and in cyber especially, where there's just so much stress. People are getting burnt out, they're getting overwhelmed, they're working 24/7. It's like a never-ending job. A lot of times you're not really thanked for your job, because a lot of times cyber is kind of thought of as somewhat of a negative, thing, and it's really hard to get like recognized or appreciated, or awarded for your work. So really, you're doing it for the love of the job, most of the time, but that will only carry you to a certain level if you're really not prioritizing your own mental health and well-being. So I thought, okay, what if I started, bringing in, easy to do wellness techniques? Because one thing I learned as I was healing myself is some of the techniques out there it just takes a lot of time. When you think of meditation, most trainers or teachers will tell you, okay, you got to find this calm spot first where there's no disturbances. Then you got to meditate for 45 minutes. And then you got to stay in that mindset in a chaotic world. I was like, okay, yeah, I feel great doing it, but then once I come back to my chaotic world, it's kind of like I'm back to normal again. So I started coming up with 2 minute, 3 minute, maximum of 5 minute techniques that I could really bring back to a corporate workplace type of setting, and especially in cyber. So I actually, in my organization, I actually started their first health and wellness program, where I basically taught once a week. I would have a free like wellness workshop, and I would teach, really quick ways to rejuvenate yourself throughout the day, while you're in the midst of the chaos. So the more I did that, the more people started branding me as the chaos guru. And actually, that's my new brand name now, the chaos guru. I actually have a new book out. It's called Chaos Loves You, so let's love it back. It's on Amazon and on my website as well. Um, I do. So one thing I noticed is that you have to look at the symptoms in the other person and be able to kind of recognize when your team is feeling this burnout, or overwhelm. And then once you're able to recognize that, then when you learn these types of quick techniques, you can start teaching that to them, or you can offer it as an option. Because a lot of people, when they have these symptoms, they just immediately jump to, oh, I'm going to go to the doctor and ask for a pill. And it's like, well, the pill is only, making the symptoms go away, but it's not making the root cause go away. And there are, there's, it's like there's so many different things you can do, that only take 2 minutes, 3 minutes, but it's what you do most that counts. So if you're able to dedicate, like, let's say 5 minutes every hour, throughout your waking hours, that starts to add up. And that's all it takes to get your body and your mind and your energetic system back to kind of that uh, the rejuvenated state. So it's very similar to going on vacation. But you don't have to wait till you go on vacation. You can start bringing those feelings and that state into your normal day, even when you're in the middle of the chaos.
Jothi, I wanted to ask you, what are some tips or things that people can do out there to kind of help focus their mind when they're feeling stressed out?
So some of these might sound a little odd or feel a little odd, but there is a scientific purpose for them. So one technique is called the B technique. So really, it's very simple. You just put your finger, any finger, on kind of like that soft spot on the side of your ears, just like around there or so. And then you can either close your eyes or keep them open, but you just hum. You just go like, mm, and you just do that for about a minute or so. And take a full breath and then just kind of let it out with the hum, and that will pretty much clear out. You will literally feel a clearing of your brain. So, as cyber professionals, especially if you're a working parent, you probably have like 10,000 things that's like going on in your brain at all times. So just that simple technique it's basically rewiring your brain to just kind of get into that neutral, like, calm state. And then from that state, you can make better decisions, or you can go even higher and get to a more like happy, optimistic, joyful state. So that's one technique, and only takes about a minute. Another one would be, I just call it Peace Begins with Me. So it's kind of a tapping thing. So you just kind of tap your pointer finger to your thumb, then your middle finger, and then your ring finger, and then your pinky finger. And you just kind of keep doing that in the rhythmic fashion. And then you can kind of say a mantra to yourself. You can say something like, peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And what this does is there's, thousands of nerve endings in each of the tips of your fingers, and your feet, by the way. So your fingers and your feet are all connected to pretty much every other part of your body, including your organs. So if you feel like, you just feel like this heaviness in your chest or in your head, or anywhere in your body. Like you tend to gather your emotions in your solar plexus area, which is like around your stomach. So this kind of technique, by tapping those points, you're actually starting to kind of circulate your energy, and you're starting to release any blocks in any of those, any of your systems or any of your organs, or any part of your body. And then by saying the mantra, if you don't like the word peace, you can use anything else that you want, like love begins with me, calmness begins with me, serenity begins with me, whatever you feel like you need at that time. And what that does is it rewires your brain, to kind of go back to the roots, which is basically everything, all of your feelings, all of your thoughts, everything begins within you. So whatever is happening in your external environment, you can't control that, but what you can control is what happens within you. And a lot of times it is what's happening within you that's actually attracting, your outside world to you. So it's kind of psychology technique, where and acupuncture. It's similar to acupuncture and acupressure, because these are, when you tap the nerve endings, it's kind of stimulating your whole energetic, system. But at the same time, you're kind of training your brain to realize, like, oh, okay, peace begins with me. So I don't need the world to be peaceful, because I can't control the world, but I can control my own inner world, and everything starts from there.
Jothi, I also wanted to ask you, what are some of the challenges that you faced as a woman moving into cybersecurity executive leadership?
Yeah. So I got into cyber about 20 years ago, before it was even called cyber. It was like information assurance, or it was actually, I don't think there was even a word for it. Things like other duties as assigned. um, so we've come a long way. I think when I joined, I don't think there was any, female CISOs that were, known, at least, that were prominent. And now, there are a few, which is great to see. We definitely need to bring that number up. But the one, I've had a lot of different types of experiences, but what I've noticed the most is women just have to work harder at getting to the same position as men, especially in cyber, just because, at least from my own personal opinion, what I've seen is that even after you get the job, sometimes you're constantly trying to prove yourself, as being worthy of that job. And there is some level of, the imposter syndrome going on with most women, because like, oh, how did I get this job? Like, am I really, um, qualified for that job even after I got it? So there is some level of that, but even in addition to that, it's just, it seems like your peers, maybe even your management, and sometimes even your direct reports question, how did she get the job? Especially if they had applied and they didn't get it, then they're always kind of comparing themselves to you, like, well, what does she have that I don't have, and how did she get it, and oh, she must have known someone, and it's like automatically there's all these stigmas that are put on you, and especially if you have, if you're in a technology environment, you probably have the majority, of your comrades and your peers are probably males. And I've noticed a lot of, friction, but in that kind of environment as well, where they're looking at you as like, oh, she's the new CISO, like how, and then they're starting to kind of really question, give you like really hard questions right off the bat, versus I don't see much of that happening, to male CISOs. It's almost like, oh, okay, he must have been really qualified, and so I got the job. And initially, as I was growing in my own career, I did feel the need to, oh, I got to prove myself. I got to show them why I got this job. But little by little, as I started getting, confident in my own self, and actually, feel like I can bring my authentic self to work. Because a lot of times I felt like, oh, I got to show a male comrade, that I could also be like him. And I was kind of making that mistake, or I was putting on like my own male, mask, let's say, and then feel like, oh, I can be similar to a man. And then little by little, I started learning, like, I don't need to match a male, peer. I can bring in my own femininity, and I can bring in my own authenticity and just be myself, and feel comfortable in that. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times femininity is kind of looked at as somewhat of a weakness, or somebody that's weak, and it's so far from the truth, because it takes a lot more courage, and confidence in yourself to show femininity, especially in the world that's like not very open, or authentic. And it was really hard to do. So I practiced in small amounts with people that I knew were safe. And then slowly, as I started building my own confidence, I started bringing it to the workplace. And it actually did wonders for me. It actually had the opposite effect, because I thought people were going to look at me as like, oh, she's such a weak leader. Like, she has some sort of emotion. Oh my gosh. you know, because people don't oftentimes look at you as a human being in the workplace. They kind of feel like you should be like this robot, like not have any feelings whatsoever. Um, and it made a huge difference. So I think, for example, I was going through something really kind of sad at home. I think my grandmother had passed away at that time, and I was really close to her. So we were in a team meeting, and I was just, the team could tell I'm just like not myself, and I think one person actually asked, like, "Oh, everything okay?" And I literally just started almost crying. I was like, "Oh, my grandmother passed away. I'm just not having a great day, and I'm really sorry." And they actually called me out on it. They're like, "Jothi, like, it's okay. Like, you're human. Like, you don't need to put on this super mom or super woman or super leader type of mask. Like, it's okay. Like, why don't you just, we got this covered, Jothi. Like, we can take on the meeting. Why don't you just go and take a break?" And I thought, like, oh, okay. You guys don't mind? I mean, and they're like, yeah, I mean, why don't you, it's okay. We're so happy that you felt comfortable telling that to us. And I think that was my breakthrough. So since that time, I've been very open and vulnerable. And then I think by me as a leader showing my own vulnerability, it enabled them to show theirs. So whatever. So now everyone feels like really comfortable in sharing even some, really deep down, things situations that they might, that might be going on in their personal life. And I think they just start looking at you as a, just a whole person, and you're a human being, versus, you're a leader and you can never make mistakes, and you should always be happy no matter what, and you should never show any sort of emotion other than happiness. I think all of that kind of went away. So I think if any, if there's any women that's looking to be, grow in their careers in cyber, I would say yes, it does sometimes feel like it's a very male dominated and kind of like a macho type of role, but really, you're not serving yourself by putting on a masculine mask, because as men, men can see right through that, that you are a woman, you're not a man. And you really don't need to kind of be someone you're not authentically, because that is what's actually going to cause you the most overwhelm and stress and chaos, because you're kind of trying to be someone you're not, and that can't feel natural and light, and you don't have that freedom within you. But when you're just yourself, and you bring your authentic self to work, it's almost like you don't have to work extra hard at it, because you're just being yourself.
In today's episode, we had our special guest, Jothi Dugar. Jothi shared a wealth of information around mental health and how it applies to cybersecurity, as well as a little bit of information about her journey into executive leadership. So again, thanks to Jothi for coming on the show. Be sure to check out her book on Amazon and other retailers called Chaos Loves You, because we also love chaos. Be sure to check out the Cyber Life show on YouTube, as well as follow us on LinkedIn. And we'll see you in the next episode.